Have you ever felt that reality is more than just a collection of particles and forces? That your own consciousness might play a deeper role in the universe than science currently admits? Today, we're diving into a mind-bending new theory that attempts to bridge the gap between physics and consciousness. It's called Boko Dual Gravity, or BD, and it suggests something truly radical. Consciousness doesn't push reality, it draws the map. So, what is Boko Dual Gravity? Proposed by consciousness researcher Dr. Irfan Boko, this theory isn't about replacing Einstein's general relativity. Instead, it aims to expand it to include the missing pieces of the puzzle, quantum mechanics and the observer effect. At its heart, BDG says that everything in the universe, from the smallest particle to your own thoughts and actions, follows a two-step cycle. Think of it as a cosmic breath, an outward push and an inward return. Let's break that down. The theory calls this cycle an A to B transition. Point A is the beginning, the outward push. BDG claims this push is initiated by something called a quantum centrifugal field, or QCF now. That sounds complicated, but imagine it as a very subtle, spinning energy that emerges from everything that rotates planets spinning on their axis, tiny quantum particles, everything. It's a gentle, outward-bound impulse. Point B is the return journey. It's like a gravitational echo, a signal coming back to its source. But here's where it gets really interesting. This echo isn't just a simple bounce back. It is shaped and influenced by a whole host of factors: the gravitational pull of planets and galaxies, the weirdness of quantum fluctuations, and most importantly something Dr. Boko calls the chi field. Represented by the Greek letter is where consciousness enters the picture. According to BDG, this field is a measure of an observer's internal coherence. Think of it like your level of focus, intention, or awareness. But here's the key insight of the whole theory. Consciousness, through this chi field, does not generate any force. It doesn't magically push atoms around with its will. Instead, it defines the geometry of the journey. It sets the destination. To make this crystal clear, Dr. Boko offers what he calls the Montreal teleological analogy. Imagine you're in Turkey and you decide you want to go to Montreal. That decision, your intention to be in Montreal, is a product of your consciousness. You've just created a destination geometry. Your mind has defined point A, Turkey, and point B, Montreal. But did your thoughts physically levitate you across the Atlantic? Of course not. Your body does the physical work. You use your arms and legs to go online, buy a plane ticket, pack your bags, and get to the airport. The airline, the pilots, the engines of the plane, all these physical systems are what actually move you from A to B. In this analogy, your conscious intention is the chi field. It defined the path, the geometry, from Turkey to Montreal. The physical journey, on the other hand, is handled by the outward push of the quantum centrifugal field and the subsequent gravitational return. Your consciousness didn't supply the force, it supplied the coordinates. It told reality where to go. This is the core idea of Boko Dual Gravity. It reframes our relationship with the universe. We're not just passive observers in a mechanical world, nor are we all-powerful reality warpers. Instead, we are navigators. Our minds align the pathways that physical reality then travels. Now, for any scientific theory to be taken seriously, it needs math and testable predictions. BDG is no exception. The theory extends Einstein's field equations by adding new terms for the quantum centrifugal field and the chi field of consciousness. It proposes a modified formula for gravity, what it calls an effective gravitational constant. Essentially, it says that the force of gravity we measure isn't perfectly constant. It can be subtly modulated by these new fields. The equation looks complex, but the idea is simple. The standard gravitational constant, g, is adjusted by tiny factors related to the chi field, quantum energy, and the QCF. Crucially, the theory is designed to be conservative. The influence of consciousness, represented by chi, is incredibly small. The proposed formulas ensure that its effects would be far too tiny to have been noticed in previous experiments. with the proposed coupling constant being less than 1 part in 1,000. This is important because it means BDG doesn't immediately contradict the centuries of successful physics that came before it. It builds on them. So, how could we ever test such a subtle effect? Dr. Boko lays out several potential experiments. One of the most fascinating is a microgravity test involving conscious coherence. The prediction is that a group of highly focused individuals, meditating, for example, might be able to induce a minuscule, temporary change in the local gravitational field. We're talking incredibly small, less than 1 part in 10 billion. Detecting that would be a monumental challenge, but it's theoretically possible with our most sensitive instruments. Another prediction involves ultra-cold atoms. These are atoms cooled to near absolute zero, where they behave like one single quantum wave. BDG suggests that the quantum centrifugal field could cause detectable phase shifts in these atoms, essentially nudging their wave patterns in a way that standard physics wouldn't expect. The theory also looks to the heavens for proof. It suggests that the gravitational dynamics of our solar system and even our galaxy could leave a faint, harmonic fingerprint on our most precise measurements here on Earth. For example, as planets move and align, their shielding or rotational effects might cause tiny, periodic drifts in atomic clocks or finding these galactic harmonics would be powerful evidence for the interconnected, cyclical nature of gravity that BDG proposes. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, for BDG to gain traction, it must explain at least one anomaly that current physics, general relativity, and quantum mechanics. There are a handful of these cosmic puzzles out there, and if BDG can provide a natural and elegant solution for one of them, it would instantly elevate the theory from a curious idea to a serious contender. In conclusion, Boko Dual Gravity presents a compelling and elegant vision of the cosmos. It paints a picture where gravity isn't just a force that pulls things down, but a dynamic, two-way Sekolah centrifugal push guided by the geometry of consciousness, followed by a gravitational echo that completes the loop. It is a framework where mind and matter are not separate, but are partners in a cosmic dance. Consciousness doesn't need to break the laws of physics to have a meaningful role. It works with them by defining the phase geometry, by setting the destination for reality's journey. The Montreal analogy is the perfect takeaway. Consciousness is the navigator, not the engine. It draws the map that the universe follows. Whether Boko Dual Gravity turns out to be a correct description of reality remains to be seen. The experimental tests are incredibly difficult, and the theory is still in its early stages. But it represents a bold and beautiful attempt to unify the physical world of forces and particles with the inner world of intention and awareness. It asks us to consider that perhaps the most profound force in the universe isn't a push or a pull, but the simple act of setting a destination. What do you think? Could consciousness really be shaping the geometry of space? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the frontiers of science. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations into the biggest questions of our universe. See you in the next video.